Every Way Woman presents what every woman and man should know about breast cancer.
Welcome to Every Way Woman. We're talking all things breast cancer. We've got some doctors from BreastLink with us, and I want to get right to the basics. What is breast cancer, Dr. Smith?
Breast cancer arises obviously within the breast. If you think about the breast, there are the cells that make the milk and the cells that transport the milk out the breast. This cancer can come from either the cells that make the milk, what we sometimes call lobular cancer, or the cells that transport the milk that we call ductal cancer. So it arises from a healthy cell within the breast that develops a genetic mutation, a gene mutation, that causes it to replicate uncontrolled, creating a tumor.
But there's different types of breast cancer then.
There are.
What are these types?
Well, we can divide them in different ways. One is how I just mentioned, the ductal versus the lobular. We also, when we look at these breast cancers, we see that some of them, for instance, express estrogen receptor, meaning that these breast cancers grow off of estrogen stimulation. Some don't express estrogen receptors, so we think they just kind of grow without the need for estrogen stimulation. So we're able to divide these cancers up, and that determines how we treat them.
So not all cancer looks the same.
Right. And are there various stages of cancer? What are those stages?
There are. So we talk about a stage 1 being a breast cancer that starts off small, staying under, under 2 centimeters in size. And then as we get into a larger tumor or one that involves the lymph nodes under the arm, we then talk about a stage 2 or stage 3 if there are many lymph nodes involved.
And can you get like nipple cancer?
You can.
And who gets breast cancer? Who gets it?
Well, I want to ask Dr. Kabaska that in particular because you are the radiologist, so you're the one who's seeing the woman in the first step of this. Yeah. So who are you seeing that gets this breast cancer?
Well, unfortunately, breast cancer can affect any woman. It doesn't matter what race or background you're from. And we find that breast cancer mainly by mammography. So, as Dr. Smith said, we're trying to find that breast cancer when it's less than 2 centimeters in size, and that is often a breast cancer that you can't feel. And so having that mammogram every year is so important.
Sometimes you can't even see that. I know one of the hot topics is breast density, and sometimes you can't even see that cancer. Am I correct?
That's true. There are breast cancers that will be hidden in what we call dense or thick breast tissue.
Dr. Kabaska, going back to the mammography, I've heard women say, I missed a year and then it came back. How rapid or how fast can a cancer grow?
Cancers can grow at different rates. So that's the hard part, is there's no easy answer to that question. But we find that by screening patients once a year, we'll find the majority.
But what about even after surgery? Dr. Bremer, you are a breast surgeon, correct? Can you still get breast cancer after that lumpectomy or after a mastectomy?
Yes, you can. That's called, after a lumpectomy and you have another cancer in the same breast, that's called local recurrence. So that's the breast cancer coming back in the breast after you've had the tumor removed. We have
How likely is that?
It's roughly about 30%. So
that's a lot.
That is a lot. And so in order to decrease that number, we actually add radiation therapy after a lumpectomy, and that decreases the chance of it coming back in that breast in the future.
And Dr. Kozak, that there is an African-American cancer. It's more typically called triple negative. Is that hard to find in, women, due to the high density? I'm really ignorant about the whole breast cancer. I mean, it's a topic that I try to stay away from because it's very scary, for me and just for other women I know, But is it hard? Because I heard now that's a new cancer in African-American women. I know it's in general, but is it hard to spot that when you're doing imagery?
The type of breast cancer that you have can make it harder to find, but not because of those characteristics. So those characteristics have a lot more to do with how they'll treat you and how aggressive we think the cancer, how fast it'll grow if we don't treat you. So don't be scared of us.
And that's the difference. I was going to touch on that. Dr. Smith, she said she's afraid. A lot of women are afraid. We're talking about what is breast cancer. What's the one thing that we could just tell women about that to ease them about being afraid?
Sure. Well, the majority of patients we see and treat with breast cancer are cured. We're able to treat them with surgery. We're able to get involved and treat it in a way that the breast cancer doesn't come back. But in order to do that, we need to catch that early.
Right.
We need to have women stay on schedule with their screening mammograms. And, of course, for those who are comfortable doing it monthly self-examinations, and bringing that any change or, of course, an abnormality on mammogram, we can react to quickly.
How likely, though, is early detection?
How likely?
Yeah. I mean, are women coming in stage 0 to 1, or are they kind of rationalizing themselves out of it, and then they come in and they're more advanced?
Yeah, you have a whole spectrum of patients who present. Some patients are very proactive with their imaging. They get their yearly mammograms. It's picked up early. Some women are afraid, like you say, that avoid their mammograms because they're fearful of what that mammogram is going to show. But I stress to my patients, knowledge is power. Every year with your mammogram.
I go to the doctor, honey, and I be like, chest every last breast. I don't want to hide anything. Check every breast.
Knowledge is power. We'll be right back with more on mammograms. Stay tuned at Every Way Woman.
Are you in every way woman?